According to the latest census, less than half of the people in England and Wales describe themselves as Christians, only 46.2% to be exact, marking the first time in history that Christians make up a minority of the country. And so the expected is happening. Time to rethink Christmas as half of country not Christian, says Diversity Group. A group that works with organizations on issues of diversity and inclusion, meaning anti-Christian-phobe Marxists, say that it may be time to cancel Christmas. The call comes after new statistics show that less than half of the population of England and Wales describe themselves as Christian. They complain that there is still a heavy emphasis on celebrating the birth of Jesus, and that many of them feel left out and excluded from the celebrations while their own religious or spiritual festival is ignored. Of course, we're having many of the same problems here in America, and one of the primary concerns of the diversity police is that Santa Claus is white.
Just in time for Christmas, Red looks at our traditional idea of Santa Claus, a jolly old fellow with a long beard who is often depicted as white. But Red reimagines Santa Claus in a new book and what he can represent in her children's book, The Real Santa.
This year, I call it the Black Santa Bonanza. My book is one of at least 3 other picture books that have come out this year that feature non-white Santas.
And how do you feel that seeing diverse representation, specifically within these kind of traditional folklore stories, affects children and how they view themselves and their futures?
Well, Lindsay, you're a mom. You get it. If you can't see it, you can't be it, right? And kids need to know from a very early age that their existence and their experience is valid and that their stories deserve to be told and heard, and they deserve to be in the story.
Sorry, lady, but the story's not about your kids. It's about Santa, and he is, dare I say it, white. Others are so uncomfortable with American and Christian traditions that they've created apps to help parents find Black people who commit cultural appropriation.
One Texas mom is helping to make the most wonderful time of the year a little bit more inclusive.
If you're looking for an African-American Santa like Santa Luke, there's an app for that.
It's called Find Black Santa.
After several years of trying to find a Santa that was relatable, that my children could identify with, I realized that kind of all over the U.S., but specifically in Dallas, I wasn't able to find a Santa that represented our families.
I think what she means is she's teaching her children racism, or to be more specific, anti-whiteism, which is the term that we should use when describing racism against white people, because most people have been conditioned when they hear the word racism to think that it's something that only white people do to non-white people. How else would you describe somebody teaching their children that they just can't relate to Santa simply because he's white? Last year, Disney World included a bunch of Black Santas in their theme parks for the parents who are indoctrinating their children that they don't have anything in common with white people and just can't relate to them. And this year, I'd be willing to bet that they have a bunch of gender non-binary clauses for the LGBT people. Apple now includes a Black Santa emoji, not an Asian one or an Arab one, but a Black one for certain people to feel better about themselves. This is the same company who introduced a pregnant man emoji. And with all the race swapping that we've been seeing over the last few years by the Hollywood Mafia, where they take popular characters from film franchises and make them black in the sequels or in the remakes, and now they're trying to turn Santa Claus black, somebody decided to take it upon themselves and make Frosty the Snowman black. Of course, it's just a meme, but as you know, life is so crazy that it often imitates art now. So I have a feeling that we may actually see this happen next year. Etsy, which is sort of like an Amazon for homemade arts and crafts, has a commercial out depicting a Black grandfather who was triggered by Santa Claus being white, but then relieved when his family found him a Black Santa Claus gift on their website. The Oreo Cookie Company also has a commercial depicting Santa Claus as black in the name of diversity. If they want to start depicting Santa Claus as black, fine. But if they really want cultural diversity, maybe we should import the tradition of Black Pete from the Netherlands and bring it to the United States.
Anti-racism campaigners held protests throughout Holland on Saturday as the Dutch celebrated the arrival of St. Nicholas and his traditional yet controversial companion, Black Pete. Black Pete is usually portrayed by white people in black face paint, wearing frizzy wigs and red lipstick. It is criticised for being racist. We think that Sinterklaas is a party for the people and that it should stay the way it is. That is why we are here. We want Zwarte Piet to stay black. This should not be a political affair, but just a nice party for all the people.
Don Lemonhead over at CNN even wants Jesus to be black.
I really do think that we have to start, as I said earlier in the show, we have to start teaching the true history of this country, the history that African Americans brought to this country. And we also have to start being realistic about God and the Bible. And if you are a person of faith in this country, and we know America is built on faith and religious freedom, then we have to, I think a good way of starting is to present the true identity of Jesus, and that is as a black or a brown person.
Speaking about being truthful about the Bible, Don, there's actually a verse in the book of Leviticus that describes how God feels about you. There are also several in the New Testament as well. I would quote them, but you're not allowed to quote Bible verses here in the New World Order, otherwise you'll get canceled. But you can look up Romans chapter 1, verse 26, 27, or 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9 through 10, and read them yourself. What's next? Are the cultural Marxists going to claim that Santa Claus is gay? Oh wait, what's this?
A holiday children's book tells the story of Santa Claus with a fresh new twist.
We have the author and the illustrator here with us live to talk about their new book, Santa's Husband.
Over in Israel, they would never tolerate a group of people actively working to undermine and defame and destabilize their nation's cultural and religious holidays and traditions like this. Muslim majority countries wouldn't tolerate this either. They would deal with it. But Christians have become cowards for the most part and sit by idly doing nothing as enemies continue to attack our culture and our religion. I never thought I would have to point out the obvious, but Santa Claus is white. He comes from the North Pole. Nordic people are white. If he came from Nigeria or Uganda or someplace in Africa, then obviously things would be different. If Santa Claus being white causes you anxiety because you or your children can't connect with him, then you could just skip Christmas altogether and celebrate Kwanzaa instead.
Happy Kwanzaa.
For you normal people out there, just a heads up, this is the last weekend to order a Trump Claus sweatshirt or any of my shirts from markdice.com, and be sure to get them in time for Christmas. But because you're a slacker, you have to use rush shipping, which is just an extra $4 or $5. So to help offset that, use the promo code SLACKER at the checkout to save 10% off of everything. Sunday's the final day, so get your orders in now for Trump Claus or a F. Joe Biden shirt, classic liberalism find a care shirt, my new climate change shirt, or any of my awesome designs. All available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below. Enter the promo code SLACKER to save 10% off this weekend, and check them out.